Hello everyone, I'm David Vasquez, and I'd like to take a few minutes here to tell you about a new public education program that I've initiated. We're calling it Climate Change Solution Education, and it's delivered by my colleagues and I, making presentations to schools, museums, and other organizations about tangible solutions to what's become the biggest and most important issue of our time. It would combine 5 key factors which are shown here, namely 1. Climate change urgency, plus 2. The power of advanced multimedia, 3. The power of visionary engineering, 4. The power of youth, and 5. The power of music. Let's take them one at a time. The first factor is climate change urgency. More and more people now know about the report that came out last October from the IPCC that basically said we've got 10 to 12 years to fix the climate change crisis, or catastrophic consequences await us. We simply can't stall any longer, folks. We have to start doing something about this situation. Luckily, there are attractive solutions to the problem that I'll be talking about. Closely related to this is another critical issue: the need now for positive, inspiring, yet realistic imagery of our future. A Dutch sociologist in the 1960s observed that, historically, a society's image of its future had a strong effect on what eventually happened to that society. In other words, our kids need to have something to look forward to, or bad things are going to happen. Right now, our kids do not have anything good to look forward to, and in this regard, Hollywood can take much of the blame. Their ongoing and continuous depictions of a future almost always dark and dystopian has had a major negative effect on our psyche. Climate change has made the situation worse. We badly need to see images showing how climate change urgency can be turned around into a golden opportunity for positive change. Instead of being depressed by the bad news, the way we should be looking at it is that the crisis is the opportunity. The second of the 5 factors for use in my Climate Change Solutions educational program is advanced multimedia. This includes photography and filmmaking, computer graphic visualization, and educational theory plus cognitive science. For me, this all began when I made a film in high school about the negative effects of mass production and standardization that won an award in a National Student Film Festival. This led to photography combined with filmmaking as my first major in undergraduate college. I later switched majors and ended up getting my bachelor's degree in urban planning because I wanted to have a professional way to practice environmentalism. Computer graphic visualization for planning projects would later become my specialty for almost 20 years. I worked both for engineering companies and planning agencies using, among other tools, 3D computer modeling and animation to show appealing visualizations of proposed projects. I got my doctorate degree from University of San Francisco with an emphasis on computer-based education and cognitive science. My dissertation project was a computer game that taught physics to middle schoolers. Lately, my focus has been on YouTube video production. Here you can see a speeded-up sampling of such work. The key principle and guideline in all my educational work is simple. Information delivered as art or experience is more powerful than information delivered as facts. The third factor in this program here is visionary engineering. This includes new paradigm railways, new paradigm fuels, and new paradigm landscaping, agriculture, and soil management. My interest in railways began with my work with public transportation planning in San Francisco and the overall realization that there are simply too many cars in the world. One highlight of this work was a 3-minute video I made back in 2004 showing what California high-speed rail system would look like when completed. It played on news programs around the state, and while I was initially excited by high-speed rail, by the time I finished it, I was starting to wonder if the obsession with speed wasn't excessive. I soon after met a railway visionary named Christopher Swan who had a plan for a railway system specifically focused on sustainability and high service rail instead of high speed alone. It was called Sun Train, and I wrote 2 books about it. Sun Train would be a solar hydrogen fuel cell train that went all over California with 0 emissions and major benefits, both environmental and economic. A second aspect of visionary engineering is development of new paradigm zero-emission fuels. In my research for writing the 2 fuel cell train books, I got into the world of latest developments in hydrogen technology. This led to a startup company called McAllister Technologies with a new hydrogen-based fuel that seemed to solve all the problems that had been holding hydrogen back from mainstream applications. It's called Metrol, and it's an affordable, easy-to-use, zero-emissions miracle fuel that can be made in unlimited supply from multiple sources. Metrol is so far the only technology that offers a relatively quick solution on what to do with the 1.5 billion internal combustion engines in the world, and because a byproduct of making Metrol is super low-cost carbon fiber, it's the only technology that offers a way to fundamentally harness the profit motive in a massive way for large-scale environmental action. The use of biomass as a feedstock for making Metrol points to a third major category of visionary engineering, namely the power of plants. This includes landscaping, agriculture, forestry, and soil management. This is where photosynthesis worldwide becomes the primary workhorse for drawing carbon out of the atmosphere so that parts per million count of carbon dioxide drops back to a safe level within the next few decades. The options here include huge tree planting programs that use super fast-growing trees such as the Paulownia, the world's fastest-growing tree. Another is the widespread growing of industrial hemp, which is an exceptionally fast-growing biomass and thus could serve double duty as a feedstock for Metrol as well as a key method for carbon capture. Industrial hemp was only recently legalized in the United States. Another aspect of the power of plants is a soil management process known as biochar that was discovered hundreds of years ago by the natives of South America as an easy way to greatly boost soil fertility. Only recently it was discovered that it's also a very powerful way to sequester carbon from the atmosphere. The fourth key factor here is the potential power of youth. The sobering implications of climate change weigh most heavily on young people. Both for leaders and followers, the potential for building a strong and effective climate action movement is therefore very high with young people. I've personally witnessed classrooms of rowdy 7th graders go dead silent when I start telling them about the 2018 IPCC report. Not surprisingly, young leaders have already begun to emerge. There are now 3 outstanding environmental teenage heroes that have come out of Europe. The first was Felix Finkbeiner, a 13-year-old German boy who, for a school science fair project, came up with a plan to plant 1 million trees in Germany. The mass media took notice of it and it took off. Over 1 million trees got planted. He's now working with groups internationally to plant 1 trillion trees worldwide. The second hero is 16-year-old Boyan Slat out of Holland, who single-handedly conceived and spearheaded a technology plan to clean up the oceans of huge amounts of plastic waste. He raised over $30 million and a full-scale effort consisting of an armada of specially designed ships departed from San Francisco Bay in summer of 2018. A third environmental youth superstar was 16-year-old Greta Thunberg from Sweden, who single-handedly began an international youth climate action movement. Among other things, Greta has spoken in the United Nations lambasting adults for stalling and non-action on climate change. So far, no such youth successes have come out of America. We're due. The educational program being proposed here will hopefully spawn a new wave of climate change solution teenage heroes who initiate effective and positive change. The final major component of the climate change solution education plan is the power of music. While music has always had unique power to engage our emotions, the internet has given it more reach, and the climate crisis has made emotional engagement more important. In these times of chaos and political divisiveness, we need to use every trick in the book to connect with people on a heartfelt level. This is especially true with the next generation. A recent YouTube series called Playing for Change has demonstrated the web's ability to have a collaborative music performance session spread over many locations. As an amateur musician myself, I've experimented with and created YouTube music videos about climate change that have been focus group tested in San Francisco schools.
Internal combustion engines worldwide, they needed to be detoxified. The hydrocarbon splitter, that's the machine where hydrogen and carbon are separated clean. The hydrogen derived was a big hit, but the capture...
The results have been encouraging. The new plan would aim to engage youth, starting here in Northern California, with a web-based multimedia production project where music performance plays an integral part.
In conclusion, there are two key reasons why you should call us about presenting to your group. First, this is climate crisis education that's oriented toward an optimistic, positive view of our future, despite the chaos and bad news of our modern times. To us, the crisis is the opportunity. Second, we've uncovered specific game-changing, disruptive technology breakthroughs that you're not hearing about elsewhere and that you need to hear about now to see and be inspired by the fact that the key problems can be solved.
We need your support in doing this. Thanks for watching.